Namaste to everyone. In this discussion, we are going to have a detailed analysis of the poem 2. The poem mainly deals with the comparison of Lord Sri Venkateswara's face with honey. This discussion helps us to understand the spiritual and mystical powers of Lord Sri Venkateswara. Now let us go into the text and analyze the poem in detail. Like honey flowing pure and sweet, his visage offers bliss complete, a nectar that heals, that nourishes the soul, guiding us gently toward the ultimate goal. Now let us analyze each line and each word independently. This line, like honey flowing pure and sweet, compares the divine face of Lord Venkateswara to honey, emphasizing the purity and sweetness. Honey in many cultures and scriptures symbolizes nature's untainted gift, representing nourishment, vitality, and healing. Similarly, the Lord's face exudes divine sweetness, a spiritual nectar that purifies the mind and heart of devotees. In metaphysical sense, honey flowing signifies the continuous and unending grace of Lord. His blessings, like honey, are not only sweet but also eternal, flowing towards those who approach Lord Sri Venkateswara with devotion. The pure and sweet sense symbolizes how Lord Venkateswara divine form, especially Sri Venkateswara's face, captivates devotees, filling their hearts with joy and contentment. Let us interpret the words from this line. Purity. Honey is undulated and natural, signifying the Lord's unblemished nature. Lord Venkateswara's divine grace is pure, free from any conditions or worldly flaws. The sweetness is just a honey pleases the tongue. The sight of Lord Sri Venkateswara pleases the soul, filling it with joy and divine bliss. Flowing. The use of flowing signifies that grace of Lord Venkateswara is continuous and abundant, not restricted to a few, but available for all sincere devotees. Now let us interpret the word purity, sweetness, and flowing of honey from Rigveda. Rigveda 1.90.6 Sloka mentions like this: Madhuvata bhutayate madhusharinti sinduvaha madvirnaha santoshadihi. In translation, the sloka says like this: The winds blow sweetly, the rivers flow sweetly, and may the herbs of sweet for us. In interpretation of this sloka mentions that this verse from the Rigveda emphasizes the concept of universal harmony and the divine sweetness pertaining creation. The word madhu, that is honey or sweetness, is a symbolic of divine grace, purity, and bliss. The sweetness described here is not just a physical but spiritual, signifying the pleasant and harmonious nature of the cosmos when aligned with the divine order. In this context, I wanted to give you an example from Bhagavad Purana, that is the story of Dhruva. In Bhagavad Purana, the young prince Dhruva performed intense penance, seeking the divine grace of Lord Vishnu. When the Lord finally appeared before him, the vision of the divine was so captivating, Dhruva forgot all his worldly desires. The sweetness of divine presence filled his heart with ananda, that is bliss. Much like the honey described in the Vedic verse, his soul was nourished by his divine encounter and realized that the ultimate fulfillment was not material but spiritual. The second line, his visage offers bliss complete. The face of Lord Venkateswara is often described as the ultimate source of the divine joy and fulfillment. In Vedic traditions, the sight of the deity's face or darshan is believed to impart spiritual awakening and inner peace. The phrase bliss complete suggests that the joy derived from seeing the Lord transcends worldly pleasures. It is a state of ananda, that is the supreme bliss, free from sorrow and duality. This line encapsulates the idea that beholding the Lord's darshan does not just bring momentary happiness but an eternal sense of fulfillment. For devotees, Lord Venkateswara's face becomes a embodiment of hope, compassion, and assurance that their prayers are heard and their struggles understood. In interpreting each sentence here, we can understand that visage, the Lord face, represents compassion, serenity, and divine wisdom. Bliss complete, the joy derived from seeing the Lord, is not ordinarily happiness, but ananda, a higher state of spiritual ecstasy that surpasses worldly pleasure. Bliss here refers to moksha, ananda, the eternal joy that arises when one transcends worldly attachments. Now let us look into the spiritual connection of this line with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 10.41 sloka mentions like this: Yadvedvibhuti matyantam srimaddurjitameva va tattadeva gachatvam mama tejasya sambhavam. In translation, this sloka says like this: whatever possesses splendor, opulence and beauty, know that it originates from a spark of my divine glory. The meaning and interpretation of this sloka is: this verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, reveals the omnipresence of the divine energy in the universe. Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna that all forms, greatness, beauty, and power seen in the world are mere reflections of Lord Vishnu's infinite glory. I wanted to inform you an example for this. The experience of Arjuna during the Vishwarupa Darshana, that is Gita chapter 11, is an example of the complete bliss described. The overwhelming vision of the cosmic form of Krishna filled him with both awe and spiritual realization. The line, his visage offers bliss complete, teaches that all grandeur and beauty we perceive are but fragments of the infinite divine, reminding us to live with awe, gratitude, and reverence from the divine presence in all aspects of life. Now let us analyze the third line: a nectar that heals, that nourishes the soul. Nectar or amrita is often associated with divine sustenance and immortality in Hindu scriptures. This line illustrates how the divine presence of Lord Venkateswara acts as a spiritual balm, healing the wounds of the soul inflicted by worldly struggles, negativity, and desires. The healing power of his darshan lies in its ability to inspire faith and surrender. When a devotee gazes upon the Lord's face, their inner turmoil subsides and they feel rejuvenated. This nourishment is not physical but spiritual, replenishing the devotee's faith, hope, and connection to the divine. The verse implies that Lord's grace emanating from his face is the ultimate source of spiritual nourishment that sustains the soul on its journey towards liberation. Now let us interpret the words from this line. Healing. Just as nectar has medicinal properties, the divine presence has the power to heal the wounds of the mind, sorrow, doubt, and negativity. Nourishment. The Lord's presence offers spiritual sustenance, giving strength to the soul for its journey towards liberation. The philosophical insight of this line is true nourishment for the soul comes from the sattvic experiences such as prayers, bhakti, and divine contemplation. This line emphasizes the power of satsang and bhakti yoga. Now let us look into the scriptural connection of this line. In Katha Upanishad 2.1.1, Sloka mentions like this: Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. In translation, this sloka mentions like this: Arise, awake, and stop, not until the goal is reached. The meaning and interpretation of this sloka is: this powerful verse from Katha Upanishad emphasizes spiritual awakening, persistence, and the fearless pursuit of the truth. The seer Nakshita was introduced by Yama, the lord of death, with these profound teachings aimed at spiritual seekers striving for self-realization. Here I am mentioning one of the example from Bhagavad Purana, that is story of Ajmila. The story of Ajmila beautifully illustrates the transformative power of divine grace. Ajmila was a Brahmin who fell into the sinful ways due to attachment to worldly pleasures. On his deathbed, out of desperation, he called out Narayana, which was his son's name but also a divine name of Lord Vishnu. By chanting the divine name, his soul was purified and he was liberated from spiritual ignorance. The Vishnu Dutas, that is, messenger of the Vishnu, appeared and saved him from the Yamadutas, that is, messengers of Yama. This act of divine remembrance transformed his consciousness, leading him towards moksha. The nectar mentioned here refers Amrita, the divine elixir of immortality mentioned in Puranas. Just as Amrita rejuvenates the body, the sight of Lord heals and nourishes the soul. This verse inspires us to rise above ignorance, awaken to divine wisdom, and persist to our spiritual journey until the ultimate goal of self-realization is achieved. Another Sanskrit verse from Venkateswara'S Suprabhatam mentions like this: Sarva Papa Prasamanam Trayalokya Sukhapradham. The translation of this sloka mentions like this: the sight of Lord Venkateswara removes all sins and grants joy to the three worlds. The interpretation of the sloka mentions like this: this verse from Sri Venkateswara Suprabhatam highlights the divine power of Lord Venkateswara's presence. Seeing or even contemplating his form has a purifying effect on the soul, eliminating the consequences of past sinful actions, that is, papa. The phrase also reflects universal joy, suggesting that God Venkateswara's grace extends not just to individuals but to the entire cosmos, the physical, spiritual, and divine realms. The three worlds represent all state of existence, indicating how divine presence brings harmony and bliss a universal scale. Now let us analyze the fourth line of this poem, guiding us gently toward the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal refers to here is the moksha, that is liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death, and union of with the divine. The word gently highlights the compassionate nature of Lord Venkateswara. He does not impose Lord Venkateswara's guidance, but offers lovingly, allowing devotees to proceed at their own pace while ensuring they are never lost or abandoned. Lord Venkateswara's darshan serves as a spiritual compass. The act of meditating upon his face or seeking his darshan is like receiving divine guidance, subtly yet powerfully influencing the devotee's actions, thoughts, and desires. His face reflects serenity, patience, and unwavering love, qualities that gently encourages devotees to align their lives with dharma, that is righteousness, and more close to spiritual enlightenment. Now let us look into the interpretation of the words from this line. Ultimate goal. The ultimate purpose of life in Sanatana Dharma is liberation, that is moksha, the soul's reunion with the divine. Gentle guidance. The Lord inspires rather than compels. His grace allows devotees to progress at their own pace, gently removing obstacles. The philosophical insights of this line of the poem is Lord Venkateswara represents Karuna Murti, that is, embodiment of compassion, offering a gentle path of bhakti, that is, devotion and surrender. The Lord guides without enforcing, allowing free will while illuminating the righteous path. Now let us look into the spiritual connection of this line from the poem with Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita mentions like this: Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam saranam vajra aham tva sarva papabhyo moksha ma sucha. The meaning of this sloka is: abandon all duties and surrender to me. I will deliver you from all sins. Here I wanted to mention one of the important story from Ramayana for a clear understanding of this line of the poem. Sabari's story from Ramayana exemplifies gentle guidance. She was an uneducated devotee who through simple devotion was led directly to liberation when Lord Rama accepted her humble offerings of berries. The ultimate goal in the Hindu philosophy is moksha, that is, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. The phrase guiding gently reflects the compassionate nature of Lord Venkateswara, who leads devotees patiently, never forcing but encouraging them on spiritual path. Let us look into the aspects of symbolism and interpretation of this poem. Honey as a divine grace. Honey symbolizes the sweetness and abundance of the Lord's grace. Just as a bees tirelessly collect nectar from flowers to create honey, devotees collect spiritual nectar from their devotion and worship. This grace, like honey, has transformative quality. It sweetens life even amid challenges. Healing power of His face. The mentioning of healing indicates that the Lord's presence is not just a visual experience but a transformative one. His face radiates compassion, dissolves sorrow and despair. For devotees burdened by worldly sufferings, this healing is both a solace and a reminder of the divine eternal presence. Nourishment of the soul. Just as food nourishes the body, the sight of Lord Sri Venkateswara nourishes the soul. Lord Venkateswara's visage replenishes faith, strengthens devotion, and provides clarity of purpose. Devotees feel spiritually enriched and motivated to pursue a life of virtue and surrender. The path of liberation. The ultimate goal of life, according to Hindu philosophy, is moksha. Lord Venkateswara, as a compassionate guide, leads devotees towards his goal through his teachings, blessings, and the divine experience of his presence. The line underscores the idea that liberation, not a harsh or a burdensome path, but one filled with divine love and gentle guidance. Practical insights of this poem is the power of darshan. In Hinduism, darshan is not merely a physical act of seeing, but a profound spiritual exchange. When a devotee have darshan upon the Lord's face, it is believed that the divine energy flows into them, cleansing and uplifting their spirit. The sweetness of devotion. The comparison to honey also reflects the sweetness of bhakti, that is, devotion. Bhakti is often described as the easiest and most fulfilling path to connect with the divine. Just as honey pleases the senses, devotion pleases the soul and brings it closer to the divine. Grace as the ultimate healer. The Lord's face symbolizes grace, which has the power to heal all forms of sufferings, physical, emotional, and spiritual. This healing is not limited to individual but extends to all who seek refuges in Lord Sri Venkateswara, regardless of their background or circumstances. Gentle guidance. The Lord's approach to guiding Lord Venkateswara's devotees is rooted in compassion. He does not force a deemed but gently inspires, allowing devotees to willingly choose the path of righteousness. This reflects the inclusivity and accessibility of Lord Sri Venkateswara's grace. Before concluding this discussion, let us summarize the essence of this poem which we have discussed so far. The verse encapsulates the essence of Lord Venkateswara's divine presence, symbolized by Lord Venkateswara's radiant face. It portrays him as a source of unending sweetness, healing, and guidance, offering a solace to devotees in their moments of despair and hope in their spiritual pursuits. By meditating upon Lord Venkateswara's face, one can experience the transformative power of divine grace, which purifies the heart, nourishes the soul, and illuminates the path to liberation. For devotees, his face is not just a symbol but a living presence, a beacon of light that reassures, comforts, and uplifts. It reminds us that no matter how challenging life may seem, the divine nectar of Lord Venkateswara's grace is always accessible, offering eternal bliss and fulfillment to those who seek it with sincerity and devotion. I hope you enjoyed this discussion on the poem 2, which throws light on the sweetness of Lord Sri Venkateswara's face. I request you, please forward this discussion to your friends, colleagues, relatives, and group people to know more about Lord Sri Venkateswara's mystical powers and his sacredness. Thank you very much. Hope we will see you in the next discussion.
Kamala kucha chuchuka